I'm sure that'll sound fine on audio. Hey everyone, it's me, Aaron.
And I'm Michelle.
And that's our intro, apparently. I'm also very sneezy today, so if I sound incredibly stuffed up, I apologize, but when you're trying to get our review out every single day in October, you kind of have to record whenever you can.
Even if you have allergies.
Yep. So, this is Thorgiween. We are doing 31 days of horror movie reviews, and we are right smack dab in the middle of Universal Monsters Week. This is a theme week in which we're going back and we're watching classic Universal monster films. And I figured if we're going to be talking about classic Universal monster films, we should watch the one that kicked it all off. I know there are people out there who argue that a lot of Universal's silent films before this, like Phantom of the Opera and Hunchback of Notre Dame, they count. And yeah, there's certainly arguments for that, but this was definitely the film that made them go, oh, we should make a lot of monster movies after this. This is kind of a big deal. Granted, Frankenstein came out this exact same year, so they were already working on that. So it was really the 1-2 punch with both these films coming out at the exact same time, but this one came out first, so it definitely was this that helped to set it all off. We are, of course, talking about 1931's Dracula. It is insane to think this thing is almost 100 years old. You just look in the air there, buddy? All right, cool. Yeah, it is crazy for me to think that this thing is almost 100 years old at this point. Partly because I look back at this and I know that it's set during the time of Bram Stoker's novel. And I keep thinking to myself, oh, this Bram Stoker must have been like long dead since then. I think he was still like alive when this film came out. Like, it's crazy to me. Like, I think this film happened like 100 years after Bram Stoker's Dracula book came out. But no, it was still like fairly recent after this. I don't know if Bram Stoker was still alive at this point, but like his widow was at least alive. And I remember like she was suing the shit out of anybody who tried to make a Dracula thing back then. But this is like the one that she gave her blessing to.
Yeah, it's like when a book becomes popular and it's like, hey, let's make a movie out of this.
Well, yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Basically, nothing has changed over 100 years.
No. Including really quickly made sequels, which we'll be talking about tomorrow. But yeah, it's weird. It's one of those things where I just think like, oh yeah, like the gap between when this film came out and when the book was set was like this, but it's like, no, it's actually kind of like that. Like, we are much further from when this film got made than when the book got made in this. Anyway, I'm stalling because I don't want to admit that this film is a classic and I found it to be boring as hell. Okay, let me clarify something there first. I had seen this film before, and I thought, yeah, it's a classic. I understand why it's a classic. And we were watching it this time, and I went, why am I finding it so boring this time? What is different? This does not feel like when I originally watched it. And I looked it up afterwards. It's because the version that I watched was a later version that was made just for like DVDs and Blu-rays, where they went in and they added a soundtrack.
Yeah.
Because I kept watching this going, where the hell is the music? Something is wrong with this version of it.
Literally, the only music we have is like during the opening credit. And it's not even the music we associate with Dracula. Nope. It's like not Toccata Fugue in D minor. Nope, it's Swan Lake.
Yeah.
And that's so fucking weird because we don't associate vampires with Swan Lake.
Nope, they just had that music available. And I keep thinking, like, maybe back during the time when this film came out, like, I know that with silent films, they used to have, like, they would send out sheet music with it, so there would be, like, an orchestra there at the movie theater that would play along to the silent film. Maybe they did that with this film as well. I don't know, but yeah, there's no music in this film at all, and you do not understand how important music is to a film until you watch one that doesn't have it in there, especially one that has such long periods of nobody talking.
In fact, our opening pretty much describes how this movie is when we were just standing there blank.
Yeah.
Nothing to say.
Yeah, that's it. That is a lot of this film. And I looked it up afterwards. I did some research on the film. The director, Todd Browning, he apparently before this directed silent films. I mean, this was 1931. If you had a career as a director before this, you did some silent films. And this was like one of his first talkies. This was one of his first films where people were actually talking in there. And man, you can tell he did not know how to deal with that. Like, in his mind, it was still like, no, like, there's no point in talking. Like, it's the silent beats in there. We'll have some big orchestra playing somewhere. And yeah, you look at it, it's like, man, there's just huge gaps of nobody saying anything. And because there's no music, even the scenes where they're supposed to be like really intimidating, like this very dramatic moment, it's so nothing. It is just really bland. Like there's a moment right when Dracula gets off of the ship and he goes up to somebody. I don't remember if she was selling flowers or papers or something, but I think she was a flower girl. And he just goes in and bites her, and it has like no tension, no nothing. Because there's like no rising anything to it. It's just so matter of fact, like he just goes in, bites somebody, that's kind of it. It happens.
And you know, the thing is, like, whenever something dramatic happens, it always ends up fading to black. Like, you never see Dracula actually biting anybody.
Which, I mean, yeah, granted, I get that at the time they didn't have lots of, like, makeup and special effects or anything. But still, there's definitely, like, looking back at it now, there's definitely more creative stuff they could have done with the camera.
Yeah.
For those sequences. It's like, man, they did not know what they were doing.
Yeah, it's like, you mentioned, like they could have been more creative with the makeup. It's like, I've noticed that, like, they don't even, like, put, like, fake bite marks.
We don't see that.
No, we never see the fake bite marks.
Never see that at all.
Even though they, like, pointed out, because we have a high definition TV, we can see, nope, there's nothing there. There's nothing there.
Yeah. But yeah, let's go ahead. For anybody who does not know the story of Dracula, it starts off with this character, Renfield, who is going to Transylvania to visit Count Dracula because he is a real estate agent, and he is going to try and sell Count Dracula this new land, this new plot of land that he wants to purchase over in
London.
London, yeah, yes. It was London. And he goes over there. Everybody in the town said, "No, don't go up there. Oh, they're evil. They turn into wolves and bats and monsters and they suck your blood." It's like, oh, you silly, superstitious people. And then he goes up there, he meets Count Dracula, and then sure enough, he gets his blood sucked, and then Renfield becomes his, like, mindless servant. And then from there, Count Dracula just goes to London and he meets up with John Harker and his fiance Mina. I believe it was Mina. Yes, Mina. And he seduces Mina, turns her into a vampire. Then they meet up with this guy, this Professor Helsing, who knows all about vampires. There's no like backstory on him or anything. He's just this old guy who knows about vampires, and he has all the answers on how to kill Dracula and save Mina. And that is the entire 70-minute long film, and I included most of the scenes in there in my description. This is a very light film.
Yes.
And it's crazy to me that the film we're talking about tomorrow is like 10 minutes shorter than this, and yet had so much more stuff happen in it. I'm not saying I like that one more than this. That one's got its own problems we'll talk about tomorrow. But yeah, it is a lot of nothing because it is so much standing there and nobody saying anything. And again, I understand how that builds tension. And Dracula, as we all know, was played by Bela Lugosi in here. And I mean, much respect. The dude created vampires in here. This guy came in here with this performance and everybody associates Dracula with that. Dracula, just vampires in general, like that is it. Like the voice, the swagger, the charm on him, the stare that he has. Dude nailed it.
Yeah.
Nobody is disrespecting that.
Yeah, no. The acting in this movie is great. The acting is not the problem. The problem is like
the lack of acting.
Exactly.
It's like somebody say something right now. Like, yeah, silence can be used to build tension. But there comes a point where it's like, okay, you've gone past tension, you're into something freaking happen now. And yet the moment that I learned, oh, the director used to do silent films, it makes so much sense.
Yeah.
You immediately go like, oh my God, the dude did not know how to do talkies. And it screams that. And man, I hate that I am saying this about a film that everybody is unified and be like, this is a classic. This is the film that started off the Universal Monsters and built this entire universe. And oh, we all associate Dracula with Bela Lugosi and create this. And like, yeah, Bela Lugosi is great in this. Oh my God, the directing is not good.
Yeah, just because something is a classic does not mean it doesn't have its problems.
We can look back at it now and be like, oh, dude, that's got problems. And the fact that Frankenstein came out the exact same year, it's like, that film is so much better than this. Yeah, like, that's the thing that makes me go like, okay, well, Frankenstein came out a few years after this, so they learned some stuff from it. And then when I looked up and went, oh, it was the exact same year. No, fuck this movie. Okay, not fuck this movie. But it did make me go like, no, I can now criticize you. Like, I have something I can directly compare you to that is immensely better. I think it's been a while since I've seen Frankenstein, so maybe that didn't age all that well either. But yeah, no, this thing, like, it's frustrating at times. And we talk about the acting of, like, Bela Lugosi, and we said, like, he's great. And Renfield, who played Renfield? Dwight Frye. Dwight Frye did phenomenal.
Oh yeah, he at any scene he was in, he like ate it up. He stole all the scenes, like literally. Like.
Exactly. I would almost, if it weren't for the fact that Bela Lugosi was like became the icon, I would be tempted to say that Dwight Frye gave the best performance in this entire thing because he has to do 2 characters in here. Mm-hmm. He has to do Renfield before he gets changed into the vampire, well, he's not a vampire, but he's like the mind-controlled slave.
Yeah.
And then he has to do him after that. And before that, he is such a, like, he's Niles from Frasier is what
basically,
he is.
Yes.
He is such a just stuck-up bookworm, and he does it so well. He has, like, that perfect weenie energy to him. But the moment that he gets changed, oh my God, that dude just dedicated to that performance 100%. Just giving it his all on that. Yeah, I was amazed by his performance when he actually transforms into he was always Renfield, but you know what I mean.
Like Dracula's slave.
Yeah,
basically.
Exactly. Yeah, I thought he did a great job with that. And then also, I think that Professor Helsing, pretty darn good. Mm-hmm. I am not the biggest fan of Mina and not the biggest fan of her fiance, John Harker. And I don't know if that's performance-wise or just like, oh, there's like, you guys are the least interesting figures in this film.
Yeah, it's like, basically, they're like the, just objects, like like
she is a plot device, he is a weenie. Like that's it. Like she is there to be the thing that no, not my darling Mina who's being transformed. And John is just such a dope. Like he's like, there's no point to his character really in my mind.
I think the only reason why he's there is to like make Dracula's like attempts on Mina more scandalous.
I guess. Yeah. Oh, I see what you're saying. Like, oh, he's flirting with a
fiance,
an engaged woman. Yes. Oh my, that's not your woman. It's his woman because it's the 1930s, so she's property. Yeah, I think that's what is solely there for us to cheer on John Harker because he stole his bride. Oh no, that cad. We clearly support John Harker on this one, but I just keep looking at it like, man, John Harker is like such a nothing character. Like, he's the only character in here who doesn't, out of the characters we're following, who doesn't really catch on that Dracula's up to something. Like, he just seems so gullible in my mind. And granted, nobody knows what a vampire is, except for, what's his face, Helsing. So, yeah, it's kind of like, okay, it's unfair to go like, how are you not catching on to what's going on here?
Yeah, I guess like vampires were not as big yet, or I mean, like...
yeah, also in all fairness, like if you saw like some mysterious suave guy and then like, you know, you started getting sick, my mind would not be like, it was that mysterious suave guy who did this. Like, no, that's a crazy assumption to jump to for anything. But like, Dracula is just leaning on everything so hard, and John Harker's like, what a fascinating fellow that man is. I'm like, Okay. I've always said you never want your protagonist to be dumber than the audience. And that's hard to pull off. And that is a hard thing, admittedly, to achieve because the audience has knowledge that the characters in the film do not. So it's very easy for a character to be dumber than the audience, but you don't want them to be that much dumber. And yeah, this is one of those situations where it's like, come on, John, catch up, buddy, come on. We've all passed the finish line here, man. But yeah, it's aside from that, I do enjoy the other performances in here. There are things in here that I do have to look at and just be like, so was this supposed to be funny at times? Like, there's things in here that just seem silly, and I don't know if they were supposed to be. And one of the big ones is early on when we first see Dracula coming out of his coffin, and we see like all of Dracula's brides coming out of the coffins. There's just a shot of a bee coming out of a bee-sized coffin. And I have thought about that till this day. Was that supposed to be a joke, or did they actually think that would be uncomfortable for the audience? I have never known what we were supposed to read into that moment.
I think it was just like, oh, these creatures are weird and ugly and scary. Let's shove them in here for more atmosphere.
Yeah, like, man, he's got so many pests in his place, and it feels like they were just grabbing whatever animals they could find. Like, okay, a possum. Possums are kind of creepy at night. I've seen some
possums look like giant rats, and rats are nasty.
I get that. I understand that. But then he just had armadillos crawling around his apartment, and I'm just like, man, I don't know if there were armadillos in Transylvania, but they are in California, and I just look at that and I'm like, man, y'all just need to film something. Like, you'll just need something else. And it's like, well, we got armadillos on the back lot. Just grab a couple of them, shove them in here.
I think the story behind it was because armadillos were not so well known back then that they wanted to put it in the movie. So weird. People would be like, oh, what is that? That's so freaky.
Interesting. I can see that. Okay, I can see that. That's interesting then. But yeah, it really feels like there are scenes in here where there's just a lot of ideas, and it's just like, what are you doing with this? There are some sequences in here that I do really like, though. Like the whole sequence on the ship. I thought was really good, which, fun fact, all the shots of the people on the ship with the water splashing around, that was taken from another film. Like, there was some silent movie that was about guys on a ship being hit by a storm. They just took the footage from that and just put it in here. And when you know that and you go back and look at it, it does look like it's being shot on different film. It's like the quality of that film is not as good as the rest of this movie.
If that happened today, there'd be a lawsuit.
Well, I mean, it was probably their own movie. Yeah.
Maybe,
like, remember, back in those days, they were like, listen, it's the Wild West. Literally, at that point in time. We're just putting stuff together and see what works here, okay? We don't know this whole movie thing just yet. No one's figured it out. We're just trying to make something happen.
You know, now that you mention that, it makes you wonder, like, were they, like, on a tight budget with this movie?
I don't know.
Because it would explain, like, a lot of reasons why they don't have, like, proper makeup or, like, good effects.
I think that's just they didn't know.
Maybe.
Granted, like, yeah, there's a lot of things in here which I think it's just the director did not know how to deal with this stuff. Like, remember, this is a guy who did silent films. He was not used to this level of production.
Like, anytime where Dracula came out of his coffin, you see the hand push the coffin aside, and then the camera pans up to the moon, and then comes back, and you see Dracula just standing there. So it's like, yeah, I guess they didn't have, like, the effects to make it look scary.
Yeah. Yeah, because I just said, like, well, it's a guy who did silent films. He doesn't have the experience with this. But then I think, like, Nosferatu was silent. And the shot of him coming out of the coffin is one of the most iconic vampire shots of anything. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it's one of those where, yeah, maybe I think a lot of it just falls on the director. I don't think it was budget, because when you look at, like, the sets they had. Yeah,
maybe that's what they blew the budget on.
There was money in this thing.
Oh, yeah, like, the sets were huge.
They're incredible. By the way, this is a fun fact about this, and I've always been curious to watch this. But apparently, to save money, they shot this film and the Spanish version of this film at the exact same time. And, like, back then, they didn't have dubs. They didn't have dubs, they didn't have subs. So if they wanted to do a Spanish version of this, they had to get Spanish actors to come in there and film this at the exact same time. So they would film the English version, and then when that was done, the Spanish actors would come in and film their version of it. And I have heard so many people say the Spanish version of this is apparently the vastly superior version, because the Spanish version would watch what the English version did and go, we have to top that.
Yeah, that's kind of the problem of, like, being first. You don't really have anything to, like, compare yourself to, so you can't really push yourself further.
Also, I highly doubt that the same guy was directing the Spanish version. And like I said, I think a lot of the problems in this come from the fact that it was a silent film director who did not know how to do talkies. So I'm very interested in seeing the Spanish version of this.
So, like, you mentioned that, and you mentioned, like, Frankenstein came out, like, a year later. Were they also, like, being produced
at the exact same time?
Yeah.
More than likely. I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah, because, like,
I don't know how long films took to make back in those days.
I don't know. It's like, but, like, I was thinking, like, maybe another reason why this movie feels a bit cheaper was because they were, like, busy working on the Frankenstein movie also, and it's like they had trouble, like, dividing the cast and crew.
I still think it's mostly just the director had no idea what he was doing.
Okay.
But I can see that. There's many, like, I don't know enough about what Universal's, like, weight was back in the day. Like, how much power did they have? Could they have pulled this off, or did, like, trying to shoot Frankenstein and Dracula at the same time, like, pull resources apart from each other? Right, they could have been shooting these on, like, different ends of, like, the planet for all we know. So yeah, it really
I'm just, like, imagining, like, one, like, the Dracula set on one side, and then you turn around as Frankenstein set.
Keep it down over there. Yeah, so anything else that you want to add in here? We're knocking out these Universal ones because they are not long films.
Speaking of not long, this film ended abruptly.
Yes! Oh my god, we should talk about that. This is freaking Dracula, for God's sakes. Ends off, like, dies off screen. Like,
off screen, like, there's
Van Helsing just comes in there and just goes, the way that you kill it is by driving a stake into its heart. And then, like, John Harker just goes over to Mina, who's in the corner, camera pans them,
yeah,
and then she's fine because they killed Dracula off screen. Like,
yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's disappointing.
Yeah, like I said, I don't know if they, like, had these special effects, like, have, like, a vampire dummy.
Again, like, that's one that I'm like, that wouldn't even be hard to do.
Yeah,
it's just like, everybody knows the trick of you have the head come up and then, like, the fake body on top and your body's underneath it. Yeah. I seriously, like, the more that I think about this film, the more I'm like, man, we are lucky that the Universal monsters got made at all after this. Like, but again, I'm looking at from the present. I know back in the day, people loved this film.
Yeah, this was, like, groundbreaking stuff.
This was huge back in the day. But man, it's out of all the ones we've watched, like we were talking about Creature from the Black Lagoon yesterday, and I was like, yeah, my memories kind of drifted over a lot of the parts where they were just sitting there doing nothing. I kind of blanked parts of that out. So I was like, yeah, okay, so I'm fully willing to admit my memories of some of these films have been tampered over time. None as much as this one. Like, I watched this, I'm like, I actively do not want to watch this again. I've seen this enough now. I kind of don't have the urge to watch one of the most classic horror films of all time.
I know what happens. I'm good.
Yeah. You could literally, this is like a 70-minute long film. It feels like everything in here could have been shoved into a 30-minute long episode of a TV show.
A Halloween special, basically.
With commercials. I will say Renfield, again, very good. And I did enjoy the, like, guy at the insane asylum who was like all right, you loony, come back with me, which it makes me real. Which, again, it's one of those things that makes me go, like, okay, there clearly was a sense of humor and some stuff in here. But it's those things that make me go, okay, what was supposed to be funny and what am I reading too much into? I just want to know about the bee. That's it. I just want to know what the deal with the bee is. Sorry.
Actually, like I was saying, like maybe they put like horror, like a bit of humor to like balance out the horror or something like that.
Which is something that I have always argued you need to do.
Yeah, because like we watched the Bride of Frankenstein, and like there were like these two criminals who like dug up a dead body for them to experiment on, and they were like, let's turn ourselves in. This is no life for a murderer. And just
yeah. Oh yeah, that was a pretty good gag. I enjoyed that. Yeah. So yeah, I've always said that horror needs to have some jokes in there because it relieves the tension. And if you relieve the tension, then you can make people tense all over again. So you do need a couple jokes in there. So yeah, again, that's a way that this film was kind of groundbreaking. It was the first one to like put a sense of humor into a horror film, I guess, as far as I know. I'm not going to pretend like I've seen every horror film of the 1920s. But yeah, the ones I have seen is like, no, they played it pretty straight. So yeah, we have not been giving scores to the Universal ones because it's like, yeah, how do you give scores to Universal monster films?
Yeah.
It's like giving score to Abe Lincoln. It's like, yeah, everybody knows him. You don't need to talk about that. Like everybody knows everything that happened in there. Everybody knows what he did. But man, this is the first one that I've just been like, oh, this was not what I remembered. And yeah, I'm glad that we started off with the Bride of Frankenstein because it's the thing right now that is making me go, okay, there were good ones back then. There were ones that have aged very well. This one has not. Yeah, I don't know. Anything that you want to add to it?
I understand its influence, but because it inspired so much of today's filming, it basically has become like
critic proof. Like you can't like talk negatively about it or anything.
That's it. Like, yeah, you can't talk negatively about it, but at the same time, it's like a lot of the things that made it a breakthrough are like just common stuff these days.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Okay, yeah, it's a lot of it isn't going to be as impactful because like, man, there's so many things in here that I kept looking at going like, I've seen so many other versions of Dracula and they follow the exact same story. Like there was a moment in which I was like, what if tomorrow we just watch Dracula Dead and loving it? Because it's the exact same film, just with a better sense of humor to it. But yeah, by the way, that film was actually good. I know some people don't like it. I actually enjoy that film. But yeah, it is interesting watching this and just being like, yeah, we've all seen this movie now. We all know it. But that's, in my mind, just because you've seen other films that do the same thing as well, doesn't necessarily mean that there's no point in watching the original.
Right.
But with this one specifically, I watch it now and I'm like, oh, this has a lot of flaws that a lot of these other Universal ones did not have. And I think that it gets the pass because A, it was the first, and B, Bela Lugosi.
Yeah.
Bela Lugosi, again, we got to circle back around to saying...
Honestly, you could just, like, go on YouTube and watch, like, the best of Bela Lugosi in Dracula, and that's basically...
It'd probably be all of his scenes, and it'd be 5 minutes long.
Yes. And that's basically all you need to watch with Dracula.
Apparently, by the way, he actually played Dracula on Broadway before getting this role.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, that's actually kind of dope. I didn't know that before going into this. Yeah, so there you go. Bela Lugosi... definitely deserves his title as like the king of the monsters on this. I know that's Godzilla's theme, but yeah, he definitely is the reason why this thing is still widely considered to be a huge hit. Because outside of that, but there you go. Come back tomorrow. We're going to be watching a mummy film, but not the first mummy film. We're going straight to one of the sequels. You'll see why. Bye, everybody.
Bye.